Welcome to this segment of Indie Creators brought to you by BeSimply. Today we have special guest Shylah Ray, and we're going to explore her new album, Lessons in Love, her alchemical way of teaching others how to access their voice and share it with the world, and in addition, dive into the power of plant medicine. Without further ado, let's dive in with Shylah.
There's no purpose, it's not worth it to sit and try to figure it all out. There is a power within this earth, I heard. I feel it, I feel it, I feel it.
Okay. So, Shylah, it's so great to see you today on this warm summer day. We're officially in summer here in SoCal, so woohoo, exciting. One, I want to say congratulations on your new album, and I'm excited to dive in. Lessons in Love, and you can share your wisdom. What was coming to my mind this morning was that, you know, we've all been in this state of evolution, and I would love for you to share where you feel you're really evolved into, because it's very present in your album. I was listening to it. It feels like you've arrived. And can you share with the listeners what that feels like for you?
Yeah, thank you so much. I've been reflecting on this a lot, and for me personally, you know, music naturally is always inspiring me. I'm always listening to music. I'm always feeling inspired by new artists, new sounds, and I feel that over the years I've really been able to embrace like my R&B roots. You know, I grew up on R&B and rap and hip hop, and so there's a lot of soul in that music, and I feel that this new album is a little different sounding than some of my older stuff. And you know, it's been an opportunity to really take these experiences that I've had over the past few years in relationships, you know, with partners and with myself, to, you know, really reap the rewards and the lessons, you know, that I've had to face, you know, with myself, of course, and really turn these into, I'd say they're on the edge of, you know, there's still always this God-oriented message, you know, fueling my passion to sing and to spread light and love and just and uplift and inspire people. You know, it's always the goal to create music that, number one, helps people open their voice and learn to sing. Secondly, hopefully feel inspired to be more creative and maybe even write their own music or you know, do what makes them happy and connects them with their higher power. So my music always has this as a foundation, but what's so different about this album is that I actually helped produce it. I actually was there for the entire process, and I was able to make it was more personal. I've made it much more personal. I'm speaking from a place of what's happened, you know, in my life, and how I'm looking at it, how I've dealt with it, how I heal myself from it, you know, kind of even putting a little humor into it. I've even got some cuss words in this album. You know, it's a little bit different from my older stuff. My older stuff, it's a little bit more feminine, I would say, and new age, you know, and this one, I'm just going in. I just feel like it's the most authentic version of myself, and the music's only getting better. And so I'm just really happy and proud of this project because of, you know, being there. I wasn't there for all the, you know, production of all my other songs or album, you know. And that last album, it was a compilation of a bunch of stuff. I wouldn't even call it like a studio album. I don't know. It's complicated. If you're an artist, you know, it takes a while. So this one took over a year. So it was really wonderful to just stay consistent. I feel like when I'm in the process. You know, it's kind of like when you're writing a book or a script or an album, you're just in that process and you just have to stay focused and keep coming back to it no matter what. And the fact that I had that, you know, throughout the last year with all my ups and downs and with all my traveling and showed like I just stayed consistent. You know, we took little breaks, but for the most part, it was so exciting to me to just be able to keep coming back to this and knowing that I'm just continuing to build. It's building, and building towards something, you know? And yeah, just came out in May finally, and just been celebrating. I've just been celebrating for like 3 months.
Yeah,
now,
it's beautiful.
and ready.
Well, I have to say, I felt like when our paths initially intersected, I felt the roots of what you have originally produced and delivered to the world as it's like kind of gone up the tree into literally your throat chakra and out into the world. So it's like I feel Mama Earth in there in your words and your music, and then all of a sudden I feel you in a really beautiful fancy lounge singing to people and really touching their soul. So good job.
Thank you. I do. I just sang in a fancy lounge a couple weeks ago.
Nice.
So nice.
It suits you well.
In
So,
Hollywood.
oh, nice.
Soho House.
Beautiful.
That's what happens. It's evolution. It's growth, you know? I'm just making money from music now, you know? That's the biggest difference from when we first met. I wasn't really making money from it. I'm still independent, not on a label.
Beautiful.
So you learn a lot. You learn a lot being an independent artist. And as a woman and a mother, it is not easy, you know, to make my way. But I'm just so driven because I just love it. I love singing. I love performing more than anything else in the world. So that makes it easy. You know, the drive is just natural. I don't really have to, I don't do anything I don't want to do. You know, it's always from the heart, and it's always like, yeah,
beautiful. Well, in Share, you touched on like bringing God and the divine in, and you know we've just we're slowly creeping out of this I call it the brouhaha on planet Earth, where it's been a lot of division and so forth. And even when people use the word God or divine, there can be an argument. I guess historically there's always been one, but share a little bit, because that was on my radar this morning, that like the divine is everywhere. It's just a choice if we want to perceive it from my perspective. But can you share a little bit more about that, how it comes through in your music and how you relate to that word?
Yeah.
Or that essence. It's not really a word.
Yeah, of course. It's a feeling. It's a word, but it describes, you know, it's a certain vision too in my life. You know, there's always a vision that comes with, like, when I say that, there's always something I visualize happening, you know, whether it's God as a higher power, a great spirit, creator, you know, universal love, whatever that relationship, you know, is that someone has, it is sometimes the most valuable thing, you know, in a person's life. Because for me, I was missing or lacking this growing up. Even though my mother is, you know, First Nations Algonquin, like Native, and my dad's whatever, Scottish Irish, but there was no foundation. There was no religion. There were no beliefs that were, you know, pressed on me, but there was also no talk of God and or a higher power. So I think I spent a lot of my younger years kind of searching for that, you know, kind of hoping that there was a higher power, because there would be moments that I'd feel very sad and very angry and very confused and lost, and, you know, wanting to pray and not ever knowing who to pray to. So what shifted for me, I guess what happened is that I discovered Bob Marley when I was about, 16. I was smoking a lot of weed, and I started listening to Bob, and his relationship to Jah was like, oh, that's his God. You know, I don't have that in my life. So what did I do? I went vegetarian. I stopped brushing my hair. I got dreadlocks. I left home, went hitchhiking, you know, just went on a journey. I went traveling for a couple years. I found the meaning of God while I was traveling, because there would be moments that I would be absolutely in desperate need of something. You know, I had nothing at the time. And the journey was so humbling, you know, and I was like singing and playing music at gatherings and, you know, just running into hippies everywhere. And I was having the time of my life. But in those moments of despair, I remember a couple times really praying, being like, okay, God, like I'm ready to establish this relationship because it gets lonely out here and life is getting hard, you know, and I'm on my own now, you know, as a teenager. Like I've been on my own for a while. And so that was the first initial, you know, relationship that came in was the love of Jah. And I fell in love with African culture. I fell in love with Rastafarian religion and culture, and I was all about it. And, you know, and then I became a mother, you know, not that long after that. And what happened was that I got into 12-step recovery, not from alcoholism, but because I was raised by alcoholics. So I found a program that was able to help me with that. And that program really, you know, gave a name to all of these traits and these things I think I had struggled with for years. And it reestablished that relationship for me with a higher power. So, you know, the basis of the program is to kind of reparent yourself, and you have to kind of be the, you know, the loving parent you never had, and kind of like trust in your higher power to watch over you and guide you and protect you. So I think my relationship to God really shifted when that happened. And then my music shifted. I had only really written a couple songs before that. But when that happened and I got into recovery, like my song Guidance started, you know, that song is about my higher power. I was like, okay. And then it just felt natural, I think, to just include the word God or creator or great spirit, you know, or higher power in my songs from that point. Because when I write, I am really getting down to like the layers come off, and I really get down to the core of who I am. When I write, it's from that very raw, you know, vulnerable, very honest place. And so I think that, you know, God is always there, is right in that place. So it's not hard for me to feel that when I'm singing. So absolutely. I think that's the most important thing to highlight, right? When I'm singing, that's when I feel the presence of God or my higher power, you know, guiding me and protecting me and really showing me the way and going, you have a gift, you can sing. And you can fucking melt people's hearts, and you can help them to sing, and you can make them feel at peace, or you can inspire them. You know, that's the most powerful thing that I can do, you know, is sing, you know, and feeling the presence of God. So it's a very, I don't know if you noticed, it's a very important relationship for me.
Absolutely. Well, and you're touching on something really powerful because, you know, I always encourage people to get in touch with their gifts, and one of your gifts is to sing and to teach. And when we're in touch with those gifts, we're in touch with the divine, with God, because we're destined to work with them. So I'm so proud of you for being in your gifts and sharing them. Yeah. And, you know, it's kind of fun when everyone does that. Yeah, it's everywhere. So from there, what are your biggest lessons in love? Yeah.
Okay.
Maybe
well,
in a relationship,
do we want to get
with
really
your
personal?
children. Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay. See, I don't get to talk about that very often. Okay. Number one, not to sabotage it.
Oh,
that's the thing that I've done. I've done that a couple times. I did that when I was younger, when I was still finding my way into recovery. I was not aware that my behavior was problematic to the point where it could actually sabotage my relationships. I did that with both of the fathers of my children, getting very honest here. But it's important because I learned so much, you know, about my anger, about how much pain I think I was still in, even though I had partners that just loved me so much. And I brought children into the world with these men, and I still found a way, you know, and they supported me, and I still found a way to sabotage the relationship. I found a way to push them away. I found a way to not make it possible for them to really, get through to me. Made it possible to, separate myself and just, be like, I'm good. I don't need this. I don't need a man, when really, like, my heart's desire was to be loved and to love and to raise my children with their father, And so this made me so sad for years, like just realizing like it's too late, the damage has been done. I wasn't self-aware. I wasn't aware. I was so aware of other things. I was always aware of what I was eating and what I was drinking, ingesting and putting on my body and products I was using, and, but had no awareness about unconditional love. So to me, it's like, that's a song right there. I could write about this for days, because the realest lessons in love. And also the reason why I named the album this is because, I forget how old I was, but it was, I had both my kids at the time. My youngest was like a baby at the time. And I saw a bumper sticker and it said, "There are no mistakes, only lessons in love." And I was like, this is my life, like I can't look at these things as a mistake. Like, I just learned about love. That's all it is. Don't be hard on yourself. Like, you're going to figure it out. And so I had this bumper sticker and I put it inside my car, not on the bumper. I had it right on the dashboard so I could look at it to remind myself, like, even though I've made these mistakes, I'm learning something valuable here. And I've just always loved that quote. And when I had to summarize, like, the different kind of chapters or lessons in particular, or the different relationships, it just felt right to name it this. And, like, one song is really about my ex and how I allowed a person to be, close in my life, who I don't think had a whole lot to offer me, but one thing. And so I made the song about that. And I just thought, and so that's the one that's just kind of like, that I just needed to get out of my system. A lot of the songs are something like that. So I feel the thing I touch on the most is, loving myself, as the woman and the mother that I am, no matter how much I criticize myself or beat myself up about what I'm not doing or how far I am along in my path in my life and how I should be, further ahead and have certain things figured out, and I should have more discipline, and I should be doing this, and I should be sober, and I should be all these things. The most important thing is just like loving myself in the now, the right here, with all of this, just with this, and how much I've grown. So the most important song to me, I think, the two most important songs to me on the album is the first one called Girl. And this one was, mushrooms. I was on mushrooms. I was in front of the mirror, and the words came to me, that was telling myself, like, you're beautiful. Like, just stop tripping. Just like, stop thinking those negative thoughts.
Yeah.
I was like, this is a great song. Like, I can't wait to bring this one to life. And I could hear the harmonies and the layers. So that song means a lot to me because it's so simple. It's so straightforward. It's 4 lines and it just repeats and it builds. And I feel like women love that shit because it's just an anthem. It's just one straight message. It's like, love yourself no matter what. Like, you're beautiful. Like, stop that thinking that gets in the way of you loving yourself. And then another song is called Loveis. And this one is like the core of, looking at myself as a being who has come into this world through love. Like, I was created with love and my parents, and I am that underneath all the shit and the stuff that I do and the behavior stuff and the regrets or the things that I've been through, the mistakes, all the bad decisions, and the ways that I still am not, perfect or, living my highest form, I guess, it's just that forgiveness. And so I really love those songs because they really reflect the journey of self-love for me. And not only is it just reflecting, but it's affirming. It's affirming that I come from love. I'm great the way I am, and I want people to hear that and know that it's just not me speaking to myself. Like, this is either God speaking to me through me for you, right? Yeah, or absolutely, for anybody who feels it. That's the beautiful thing about music. Yeah. Anybody can listen to it and resonate. It has nothing to do with me at that point. It's just coming through me. So I love it. I love the
Yeah.
experience of being an artist, being a musician, letting
Yeah.
it come
And
through.
well, and share. So for you, like coming into that place of self-love now and awareness that we can sabotage relationships because of unhealed wounds. It's like all of a sudden the wounds are there between the two in the
Mhm.
room too. And so it can be the person can be caught off guard because they have no relationship to it. So share where you are
Mhm.
now with that arc, and then we're going to go into motherhood, but with loving yourself and where you're ready to maybe take a dive into the deep end in intimacy
Mhm.
and vulnerability with another. I mean, you don't have to
Huh.
start. I don't even know if you're in a relationship, but just what your goal is.
No. Girl, I'll tell you, since I had the realization that I had to work on this project and get this album out, the album was fueled after a couple relationships, right?
Mm,
So after those relationships end, it's my time. Come back to myself. Now I've got a lot of content, Now
yeah,
I've got stuff to work with. I've got a lot to reflect on. I take my journal entries and just put it into a song. So
yeah,
those relationships ended, and I realized I got to take a break. I got to
yeah.
take a break from men. I got to take a break from relationships. Stop trying to make it work when it's not
Mm,
working.
definitely.
Fucking do
Yeah,
your art.
yeah.
Get some songs out. You need material. You don't need a relationship. This was like dialogue that was happening for months while I was healing. My heart was
Mm,
fucking broken in the last relationship. It was the most hurt I'd ever been in my whole life. It was like, how
mm,
did I allow this to happen? Why did this happen? Why men are trash? Just like had to go through my whole
yeah.
woman thing. And so when I came back to center, I was so ready. And so it wasn't that long after. I think I'd maybe been healing for like 5, 6 months. And my best friend reflected to me and said, you gotta get some material out. You haven't put anything out in a while. I was like, you're right. This is my number one right now.
Mm,
This is the only relationship I need to be in, is with myself and my music. And I need to bring this music to life. And so I committed at that point, and then that's when it started, and it just continued on. So through the duration of this album, and now still nothing, no, and not really any like plans to be in a relationship,
mm,
because I really am about allowing it to happen. But we're powerful beings, and we can call something in if we really want it. And I've been kind of like on the fence of like, oh, because relationship means more or less
yeah.
relationship or content. That
Yeah.
doesn't hurt,
Content.
right? But I'm so focused, when you're just on a roll creatively,
Yeah.
like I'm so focused right now. I've got all these shows
Mm,
coming up. I'm still celebrating. I'm just, things are good. I've got, yeah, my children, and my daughters are definitely that they are the most important relationships in my life.
mm,
Mainly because they have helped heal me, and they've helped heal the relationship with my mother. It's a very
mm,
distant, disconnected relationship. And
yeah.
having daughters of my own, which I never anticipated having, by the way. I thought I was going to have a son, or I wanted to have a son, kind of avoid it. Like, oh, I'm going to avoid this.
Yeah.
No, it's like, again, like God knows what's best for me. Not my,
Yep.
it's not my will at that point. So I got blessed with girls, and I have to say that the relationship with my daughters is absolutely the best thing I have in my life.
Mm,
It's
uh-huh.
the thing I'm most grateful for, the thing that, even more than music, I feel like it's my greatest accomplishment.
Mm,
Both things kind of go hand in hand. As you know, like in my earlier days, I was a doula. I was really present for pregnant women a lot, and doing the birth stuff for a while, because I wasn't fully committed with the music. I couldn't be. I
yeah.
was still a mom to, young
Young
children, and it
girls.
made it
Yeah.
really difficult to just go out and play shows every weekend. It's not really the
Yeah.
lifestyle of a young mom. And
Yep.
so I was patient, and I waited, till my partner, who was a musician at the time, till we separated. And then I got to really hold my own, and,
Mm,
committing myself to working with women and with birth and with children and all that was so good for my heart. And it
mm,
was very it just complemented my lifestyle, and it worked when my children were young because it made me ultra present. And I think that's the most important thing that I can offer my kids that I didn't get growing up is my presence, you know, and just I'm present. Like, you know, I'm not an alcoholic. I'm you know, I'm creating. I'd say I'm in my power. I'd say I'm in my creative power. I do what I love. I do what I love, and I'm making a living doing it. There's nothing more, you know, that I could do, you know, or offer my kids. I'm doing my absolute best. And so I think they see that, and they're growing up now to the point, you know, where they're getting into their teenage years, and they're starting to really remind me of my younger self. And it's just such a trip to watch them start to experience, you know, the hormones, becoming a young woman, and feeling, the feelings, all the feelings, and the way we look at the world. You know, the world is changing so quickly, and I feel like my generation, when we were younger, you know, you didn't really look at the world as such a bad, weird, fucked up place. I feel like kids nowadays are kind of aware that technology is shifting our human connection, you know, with each other, and the ability to have intimacy and have real conversation, and our obsession with content and image, and, you know, all these things. And so I just do my best to be an example of that, and I think I'm doing great with that, and I feel like we have a bond that I never had growing up. So that's the most important thing to me, you know, and I haven't done that alone.
Well, that's generational healing right there, you know, when you get to have that love.
It is.
And we're definitely going through that, I would say, collectively, because we have these two significant epochs of these wars that led grandparents, great-grandparents, and parents into kind of a very non-emotive space. So everyone's learning to have emotions. And it's ironic that the younger ones are having a screen interface, so they're going to have to learn to have a tactile experience a little bit better. But at least we're embracing emotions, and I would say mental health too, for them. It's like this interesting
I just think parents are, we're our children's main example, you know. So if we can mirror, and if we can be the example, and if we can show them how to communicate with love, and, you know, show them how to take care of, you know, if I could show them, I know how to take care of myself. I'm all about my self-care rituals and my time in nature, and, you know, and again, just doing what I love for a living. I think that's the most powerful thing, is I'm not working a fucking job that I complain about. I love what I do. And if anything, I love it so much that it pulls me away a lot, because my job does require me to, you know, be present with other things and travel and be gone. So I'm gone 2 weeks out of the month. You know, so I try to make as much quality time as I can when I am with my kids, which is half the month. So and I'm about to have my first big break. I'm about to have 2 weeks to myself.
Yeah, that's fun. It's very fun excited when you have that wax and waning. So you're 2 weeks on, 2 weeks off. Is that your flow?
Just for the summer, just so because my tour starts pretty much tomorrow.
Perfect. Yes. Well, share a little bit about the tour, where you're going.
I'm doing West Coast. And I'm going to stop and see friends and do some shows with some friends of mine who are musicians along the way. My first stop, I'm going to stop in Big Sur to say hi to friends really quick. Might have a little soak in Esalen if I can. If I can't, no worries. I'm going to do a show with my dear friend Mary Isis in Petaluma. And then I'm playing G-Fest, which is an all-women's festival up in Mount Shasta. I'm going to Ashland, Oregon, and doing an intimate concert. I'm going to Nevada. I'm going to Yuba City to visit Fran and hopefully work on some music. We've got Nevada City, doing a show there, DJ set. And then I turn around, and you know what? I might just stop in Napa because there's a really great jazz festival happening, like, as I'm on the way back, and I'm like, you know what? I might just want to catch that, like, on the, you know, in the couple days before I come back. I kind of left those days open. And so so I'm looking for, it's like Mary J. Blige and Nas and Chance the Rapper. You know, I'm really into my festivals, especially jazz, soul, you know, like R&B, neo soul, hip hop, like all that. I'm just all about. It's hard to find around here where I am, so I'll go out of my way. So I'm excited to just do all those shows and then hopefully just kind of relax and have a couple days to myself,
Beautiful.
you know, after to just enjoy some music and then maybe stop. And then I'm going to stop in Big Sur on the way back again and see some friends. And then I come home and have one night of rest before my kids come back.
Beautiful.
Yes.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
share a little bit
Very
about
excited.
that balance between motherhood and working life for those, because you kind of alluded to the fact, like, I think the feminine, I still have this, even though my kids are a little bit older, where I feel like I haven't done enough. Like, and I got a puppy and it made me remind me of how I felt when they were babies. Because I was like, oh, I should be playing with them more. You know, there was always this, like, you know, what else could I
Yeah.
feel? So share a little bit about how you manage that, you
I
know,
mean,
working and raising and.
I think there is truth to that, though. I think there is truth to that feeling of I'm not doing enough, because sometimes that guilt, I have that mother guilt, you know, that I'm not spending enough time with my kids, and it's probably true. And it's not that I'm not, you know, that they're not in my care enough. Is that am I spending quality time with them? Am I sitting down and making the bracelets with them and going over the art projects and really getting them out on, you know, into hikes, and, you know, am I introducing them to enough you know, spirituality modalities or whatever, you know, however we want to look at it. But like, you know, this is the age where I could be getting my children into some really, you know, beautiful activities. And instead I'm kind of just doing it myself. And yeah, they're getting screen time and yeah, they're doing their own thing. And I just want them to be occupied. But am I getting enough real quality time? I don't know. But it's on my mind a lot. You know, whenever I'm not with them, I'm thoroughly enjoying myself and my downtime and my me time. But they're always, I think it's always there as mothers, you know, we're always thinking of, am I giving my child the life they need, really? Like, are they going to look back and just only have good memories and be like, oh yeah, like that's nostalgic and we had a great time and I love the house we live in growing, you know, because you just, everybody has that. And I want that imprint to be positive, you know, above anything. And I think that it is in the quality of the relationship, not so much on the material, of course. If you can provide materialistically, amazing, you know, but I want my daughters to also grow up knowing how to work hard for what they want and not just expect it to be given, you know. And I didn't grow up that way. And so I think just by the balance right now that we have, where I'm 1 week on, 1 week off, or, you know, I get a week solid with them, we have our quality time together, and then we have a week to just kind of reflect and regroup and refresh. And so I'm going to start integrating them into my travels a little bit as they get older, because I see that now they're the age actually where they can really be helpful. They can really be supportive and helpful. And I think they're very interested in what I'm doing. I've been kind of not bringing them, you know, mainly because the budget doesn't always allow for me to just like bring kids. But you know, I think they're at the age now where they're ready to see like what I'm actually doing, you know, and they can socialize, you know, and they could, I mean, my daughter's going to be 18, like, it's just a little over a year. So it's like, she's going to be, you know, an adult and be able to just be having her own experience. She can be out partying, you know, like with me and have fun and enjoy this lifestyle. And I do say that I'm like, you know, just be glad that I'm not working like, you know, 2 crummy jobs, complaining and being exhausted and stressed out, you know, like I love my life. I love what I do. I'm so privileged. I'm so blessed. I'm so grateful. And I make sure to reflect that with them a lot. Like, just, you know, if you could learn anything from me, it's to just do what you're absolutely good at. And I believe singing is that thing for me. And so I just, you know, I'm a pretty joyful, happy person most of the time. So I just hope that that reflects, you know, well for them, and that, you know, and that they remember me as that, and that they continue to live, I don't want to say my legacy, but, you know, where they feel so inspired, like, oh, okay, my mom did that, I can do it. Or, you know, or just that I was more of a creative person, and that they embrace their creativity and their creative energy as women, and choose to create art. You know, I think it's one of the most beautiful things in the world is to create art. So
Absolutely.
I'm always, so I'm always encouraging it. So yeah, I think we're at a really good place, and we have fun when we get together. We're just like girlfriends hanging out.
Yeah,
You know?
that's awesome. Yeah, that'll continue to evolve into their young adulthood. So that's beautiful. Uh, Good job, Mom.
Thanks so
Yeah.
much.
So, and share a little bit about how you've been coaching, because you've been doing that for a while with women teaching, well, women and men, I assume, um,
Mostly
to,
women, you're right.
yeah, activate their voice and maybe step into that creative element for themselves, or just find their voice and use it in different ways. Can you share how you do that, and then also what you've witnessed occur after they've worked with you?
Well, I just realized the other day I've been teaching for almost 7 years now, and I'm the the fact that I'm even teaching singing is still amazing to me, to be honest, because I never had a singing lesson. I never had a vocal teacher growing up. I didn't do choir. I didn't study music. I didn't go to school for it. Everything has been self-driven, self-taught, and there were years of contemplation, because people would always ask, they'd hear my voice, they'd hear the quality or what I could do with it. And people would ask me, do you teach singing? And I just kind of draw a blank. Like, I wouldn't even know what to teach. I don't even know, the names of the vocal ranges. Like I couldn't name anything. I'd never done a vocal exercise, anything. So when I committed to teaching for a living, and let go of the work I was doing before. And I always tell people I was cleaning houses, with my headphones, and I'd be cleaning. I'd just be listening to my music. I'd just be visualizing, thinking about writing and recording and performing, being like, okay, one day, like, I'm going to be able to do what I love, and I won't have to do this anymore, even though I'm good at cleaning. It's not what I want to do. Yeah. So when I committed to that, I feel that that's when my journey of learning about singing and about people, right, really started, because it created these new, very intimate relationships where people are incredibly vulnerable about their fear and, their fear and their shyness, their nervousness, they're holding back, around sharing the voice. And so the most common thing that I see is really just about confidence. People just want confidence to speak publicly and to sing in front of others. They just want to feel confident in who they are and know that what they're doing is good enough. And I think it's really important to be that soundboard and to give people, positive feedback, even if they're beginners. Yeah. I don't ever judge somebody. I listen. I really listen to the quality in somebody's voice. And after hearing hundreds of voices now, it's amazing to me, of all different ranges, all different backgrounds. Some people have trauma, some don't. Some people are terrified, some just have no idea. So it's amazing to me to see the diversity of people, but yet the one thing everybody wants is just that confidence and be able to believe in themselves and be able to feel good about who they are, to share their voice and know that they're not going to beat themselves up about it. They're not going to fear other people's judgment. You literally have to work to get to the place of not giving a fuck of what other people think or say. As long as you enjoy the feeling of singing, as long as you enjoy, doing it, as long as you can, do it even in moments when you doubt yourself, I think that's the number one thing. So I find that some people even come to me just wanting to learn about the voice and how it works. And the only way I've learned how it works is through teaching, right? Like I said, like I've just been with myself. I've only been hearing my own voice like this my whole life. So, I decided I'm just going to coach people how I taught myself. I'm just going to show people the break it down method. I did not create this. I didn't invent this. I wish I could trademark it, but it's a method really commonly used where when you hear something difficult, fun, it's another word. When you hear something yeah, challenging vocally, or when you hear something that has, maybe more intricate like detail or skill to it, the best thing you can do is to break that down and to
Mm.
do it note for note and to just get clear,
Yeah.
on this note, this note, this note, find your way, and then sometimes we have to go back even further. And I'm helping people with just basic note recognition, knowing how to really hear the note, knowing how to
Mm.
get in full, unison with it, to really match it where you can't hear yourself or the piano anymore. They just become one. So for me, I've learned about sound and frequency. I've learned about the healing effects of music and sound, even on a, cellular level, because I'm kind of like very interested in sound healing too. I'm
Mm.
not doing it actively, but it's something that goes along with this because I'm
Yeah.
encouraging people, look, like singing is a healing thing and you're going to make
Mm.
people feel really good if you can learn how to really control your voice and learn how to
Mm.
open it. And if you can enjoy the sound of it, other people will. If
Yeah.
you can start to
Okay.
just hum or om and just feel that, that vibration and know where you're singing from, there's so
Yeah.
many different things that I'm teaching. I'm teaching people to sing either from the head voice, the chest, use the diaphragm. I'm a big fan of the diaphragm because this is where our power is. This is
Yeah.
our little control center that's down there
Yeah.
that really helps us project and have a lot of strength and power to our voice. And a lot of people want that as well. You can have it, but also you need the control and you need the confidence. You can't just go out there feeling all unleashed and
Yeah.
it's primal energy. So, and I
Yeah.
always tell people creative energy is sexual energy. So you're
Yeah.
working with that as well. I talk about the anatomy. I talk about how the vocal cords are connected to the vagina and how,
Mm.
in pleasure and sex, it reflects also like how open we are vocally and how we can really learn to soften in that way. Like
Yeah.
I just love teaching about it because I do believe that singing is what makes me happy and has prevented any kind of depression or
Mm.
in my life. I've never been
Bravo.
depressed, and I think because singing is so good for the immune system, it's a
Yeah.
great hormonal release. We know that it releases endorphins and creates joy, but we don't
Yeah.
know until we do it. So that's why I'm like, just hang
Absolutely.
out with me a little bit longer, and you'll see. Like this is it's my favorite thing in the world.
I
And I
love
never
it.
put it together until the last couple of years. I was like,
Yeah.
maybe it's because I sing so much. Because people were like, you've
Absolutely.
never like been depressed or had like a dark
Mm.
episode. I'm like, not really. Like I've kind of just, I don't know. I
Yeah.
don't look at life with a lot of fear, and I think I have a very positive attitude, which is not everybody's
Mm.
case, but I
Yeah.
think singing contributes. So I want to get people into it as much as possible,
I'm
even if it's just
feeling
your own
it's
practice, or karaoke. Yeah,
yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
Well, I was gonna say I'm seeing the
Wait,
Shylah
what'd you
Ray.
say?
I said I'm seeing the Shylah Ray choir. Maybe you could start a choir.
I am. I am. It's coming. I'm going to start with the kids in my local community. I've been
Mm.
working with a lot of kids in my local community, but
Nice.
separately. I'm still working individually, and I haven't put a group together. I think I've had a little bit of hesitation because, again, that voice comes in and says, "What do you know about starting a choir? What do you know
Mm.
about grouping people in their vocal ranges and having them that And then I got to figure out a song too. I got to like figure out what song I would want to start people.
Mm.
So the vision is there, and I have a couple songs now that have kind of a choir
Mm.
in the background or as the, chorus parts, where it's just
Right.
my voice on the track. But my dream is to really have a live choir, for a
Mm.
live performance for maybe one or two shows, and just have it recorded. And it'd be cool to just
Yeah.
like start a thing, just where, but
Absolutely.
it's really hard. How do you bring a group like that to shows? It's like it has to happen organically, and it probably has to happen in my
A
local
bus.
community. So, what better places to start than local? So
Yeah.
thank you for the vision.
Yeah, it's there.
I've got
It's in
it
the
too.
quantum field.
It's
Well, and
happening.
I want you to share something. I would always joke, when the new emergence of yoga over this past 20 or 30 years, it goes in phases. My joke would be like, how many times do you have to learn to be a yogi? Like, because you die, come back. And from my perspective, the reincarnation model. So
Mm.
even on a soul level, this is part of your alchemical gift, is to sing and teach song. So I
Hmm.
encourage
Hmm.
you to think of it a little differently, that you don't have to learn from a textbook. And in fact, as you dive deeper, because I've worked in sound, not classical music, and there's a huge difference. So music makes us feel wonderful, and everything you're saying can really lift someone's spirits. It can be some of your songs have been like, a companion for me back in the day, where it's like an
Hmm.
anthem to help move through. So song delivers so many things, but then even when you go into sound and vibration for healing, you have to completely forget all that stuff because it's something totally different. So I encourage you, as you make your
Yeah.
choir and explore that forget all those programs that society tells you. That's your gift, and keep giving it to us. Yeah,
Hmm. Thank you.
yeah.
It is done. It will happen. You'll see.
I know. I
It
can
always
see it
does.
already.
Anything we want, we create, you know?
I can see it already.
Yeah.
Um, so
I just
before
needed
we,
a reminder. That's it. I needed a
yeah,
reminder.
just do it. Some of my best memories were running cross country, and we would do sound offs. So we would sing, and one person would lead, and we'd do call and response to get through our long runs. And it's so much fun and invigorating. You're moving your body and basically chanting. It's great.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh,
So,
it
yeah.
really is. It
Yeah.
really is. It generates energy. That's what I love about it. And it's contagious. Other people can't help but to want to, it's like laughter,
Yeah.
using the voice like that, coming from the heart and just, and it's childlike. And that's what's
Mhm.
important about it too, is it allows us to be childlike and silly and can bring out, that not so serious nature, even
Yeah.
as adults, like life becomes hard and serious and we don't have to take it so seriously. There's
Yeah.
moments for it, but we need to keep our sense of humor and our, and our
Oh,
child spirit
yeah.
very active. So I'm all about it. I think that's why people like working with me too, because I'm very like
Yeah.
silly and fun about it. It's just the
Yeah.
it's the funnest thing that I know to do. So
Yeah. That's
thank
good. We
you.
need lighthearted. We don't need you with your stick and a bun hitting people when they're not hitting their notes.
Right.
Yeah.
You
So,
mess up, that's all right. You're just gonna learn.
yeah,
No mistakes.
absolutely. Yeah, I appreciate you sharing your methodology and how you're working on it. It's really beautiful. Um, and I
Mm,
real if I, we have a little bit more time. I know we started a little late, and I want to hold to your I want to be mindful of your time, but can you share a little bit about
good.
double blind also? Because
Hmm.
this is a topic that is very much on the forefront, just as much as emotions and mental health is the work of psychedelics. And I would
Yes.
love for you to share your involvement and how that's been going, and what the vision is for the project.
Mm. Yeah, I would love to talk about Double Blind. I've really fallen in love with this publication, and how it started is that my best friend was living with Shelbyhartman, who's the founder of the
Mm,
magazine. She used to write for Rolling Stone. She's been a journalist for a while, and she had the vision to start the magazine. That's very non-biased and very, it's really about education. It's about educating people of the different options, different medicines, different opinions, different views. They're not
mm,
leaning toward anything in particular. That's what I like about it. And I just started reading it and I couldn't stop. I was like, this is so cool. I haven't seen anything like this. Kind of reminded me of combination of like Vice, a little like
mm.
softer kind
Yeah.
of, but it's like very eye catching, some of it, and some of
Mm.
the articles are, a little like, whoa, where did that come from?
Yeah.
They're mind benders. And so I was just sharing. I was just buying the magazines. I was just sharing them with people. And then,
Mm,
finally it was like, hey, do you want to start this thing? Shelby was like, you've been so supportive. Like, do you want to kind of be on the double blind team and
mm,
maybe start these Instagram live? conversations with artists about plant medicine and psychedelics. And I was like, fuck yeah, this sounds great. Like, I know so many artists already. My mind's going, I can think of so many people I would want to interview and talk to about their creative journey, or their spiritual awakening or their rituals before and after shows, so there's a lot of conversations around their perspective on the future and politics of psychedelics, plant medicines, and their own personal struggle with mental health, or how they keep themselves healthy. And we've had some amazing, profound conversations. So I was doing IG Live. We started last August, so we're going on almost a year now. And then at one point, what happened was we pitched the idea to a company called Portal. And this guy basically, there was a budget, and he said, wait, let's create a web TV series of it. And we went, okay, this sounds great. So they kept me as the host, thankfully. And I was so nervous. Because I was like, oh my God, I have to interview Melissaetheridge, who's like a legend, and Brandonboyd, and a couple other artists that are going to be, coming. So these episodes are going to be released every month. Now they're going to be monthly from now on. So she just said, hey, we have a bit of a budget. We're going to do these in person, live in Los Angeles. There's a video crew. Like, you're going to be on the it's like I'm pretending I'm a new TV host or something, right? But I get to talk about my favorite things, which is I'm meeting musicians that I've either looked up to, that I respect, for being in the industry for so long. I've got my own personal questions, but I know that fans also want to hear, their own personal experience, because people need to be educated. People need to get off pharmaceuticals and these medications that are just deteriorating their health and disconnecting them even further from themselves and from their natural rhythms. And so I'm grateful that some of these artists are willing to come do these interviews for free, and speak about this, because as we know, we are moving, in the direction of, certain medicines being legalized or being accessible and having clinical use and being used for, some pretty deep mental health therapies. And so, almost everybody now has had a microdose, or does mushrooms, or has went to the jungle and tried ayahuasca, or something. And I just feel like it's the time. I just feel like it's the perfect time, to have these conversations and to start educating the people where maybe they haven't had access before. I did have an interview recently with Jidenna. He's a Nigerian artist. He's got quite a big following. He's really good friends with Janelle Monáe, and he's very plugged in. And when we were having our interview, he was talking. He's like, I was talking to my guys like years ago about mushrooms. He goes, and all these guys were like, nah, that's not for us. Like, and he goes, and I will tell you, years later, I roll up and some of these guys, are talking to me about how they're in therapy and how they've been microdosing. He goes, we got mushrooms in the hood. He's like, these medicines are just getting everywhere they need to be. He goes, but I will say that something has shifted in the last few years since the pandemic, I think, because we've seen an increase in pharmaceutical use, in alcoholism, in addiction, in death. And, and then now we've got people who are going the other route, looking to enhance their life, to actually find solutions, to actually heal their trauma and kind of dig up old wounds and just move through the shit, move on with their life, to create the life they want. And so, it's really made a huge impact, I think, where even mainstream media or, more conventional type people are aware. They might not be using them, but they're at least aware, and we can have these conversations without it being weird, So I love the fact that we're doing these interviews and we're getting some pretty big artists to come and speak about it that are going to hopefully, inspire their fan base to try some, different solutions for their health issues. So I'm just really grateful to be a part of the team. New issue just came out. It's great. You gotta get it. It's so nice. I actually love the magazine. I'm a fan of the physical magazine. I don't love reading articles online, I'm
Yeah,
all
we're
about
going
the
back
mag.
to books
So if you,
and paper, so they're ahead of the curve. That's good.
yeah, I mean, they don't have a huge, there's not like thousands and thousands of people subscribing. I mean, there is, but you know what I mean? There's like
Yeah.
300,000 web subscribers.
Yeah.
That's great,
Yeah.
but not as many physical subscribers.
It'll
So it
it'll
would be
come.
great. Yeah. It's still pretty new. It's only a couple years old, so
Yeah.
it's getting there. And
Yeah.
yeah, glad that you love it. And thanks for tuning in to the last
Yeah.
episode. And we have another one coming out in a couple weeks.
Absolutely. Well, and share a little bit, since we kind of are putting that out there, from your own experience, how one can be mindful with it. I think plant medicines, and I
Mm.
know plant medicines personally can be a beautiful assistant to where we need to go. And then at what point do you feel, I don't know, because I'm so connected with nature. Like, I don't sometimes feel like I have to take anything. I'll just like be near the tree and it'll give me what I need. I'll sometimes go on a psychedelic
Hmm.
ride just with the tree. So, share a little bit from your
Well,
perspective on how to engage in a way that's one doesn't get lost in the medicine.
oh, yeah, I think that's well, for me, I started young. For me, I started with cannabis and then found, psilocybin mushrooms not too long after, maybe a year and a half. And um, I never had a negative experience. I never had a scary or negative experience. And maybe because I was always mindful about not having too much. Some people struggle with moderation
Yeah,
and,
impulse.
want to feel something or not feel something. So they want to just go all in. And trust me, I've had bouts of like too much cannabis, too much ayahuasca, too much peyote, too much mushrooms. Like it happens. But I steered clear of drugs when I was younger, so have only had a relationship with plant medicine. I know I didn't even try cocaine until a few years ago. So because it was just kind of like, let me just try this because I've heard so much about it so many times that let me just see. And I feel honestly, if you have a foundation of just only having natural plant medicine and you take care of yourself and you eat healthy and you've got a clean system and you're not taking pharmaceuticals and drugs and all this, the body has a certain there's already like a kind of a cellular structure that's there that doesn't resonate with these harder, more processed or chemical things.
Absolutely.
So I've just never felt a resonance with those things, and they make me feel so ungrounded. I don't like that feeling. That
Yeah.
feeling of being grounded and knowing exactly why I'm having the experience I have, because when I take mushrooms or I have ayahuasca, the visions I have are absolutely in relation to my prayers,
Yeah.
the work, the trauma I need to work on in my life, like the things I need to do. And these plants are, showing me what I have to do. They're giving me direction. You don't get that always from other things. You're getting just more of a higher, more of just a stimulating or numbing experience. With this, you're actually opening yourself to download, right? So you have to be a person who's capable of integrating this information and then using it in your life. If you're not going to actually utilize the messages, the visions, and the direction that these plants give you, I don't think you have business really doing it. For people who have
Oh,
severe trauma,
yeah.
like vets and people who suffer from PTSD or grew up with like, abuse or things like that, yes, then we start a clinical program. That hasn't been me. Mine's just been more of a like, I took mushrooms kind of for fun or open because I was on my spiritual path from a pretty young age. And they've really been allies all these years because I think I use them mindfully. So I think, my personal advice is always to know where your medicine's coming from, of course, support local as much as possible. I get my mushrooms from, a friend who grows them locally. I think that's always the best thing because I know what kind of person he is. I know his energy. I know how much he loves them, so that feels really good to me. Is knowing your sources, never mixing like medicines. A lot of people do. They're doing it like ceremonially and all this. I'm not into that, but some people are really into it, trying to have experience, whatever it is, whoever came up with I heard somebody talk the other day about how they had LSD mixed with iboga,
Oh,
like a
yeah,
microdose of iboga. Iboga is one of
yeah,
the strongest medicine in the world, you know. And
yeah,
I'm going, wow, what is that? Like, what is the
yeah.
purpose of that? And why are we mixing a chemical compound with a plant, you know?
Like,
So,
yeah.
do you notice that these didn't match? I was like,
Yeah, all I was
doesn't
thinking
match.
was Roundup
So,
and
yeah, don't.
your grass.
Yeah. So, but I'm about my micros and I'm about my macros in the right
Yeah,
environment. I'm
yeah,
about my ayahuasca ceremonies with people that I feel really respect the medicine and have working relationships with indigenous people and have spent years and
yeah,
years and years studying the songs, the traditions, the rituals, the
yeah.
prayers,
Uh-huh.
you know, the diets, like everything, you know. And when and I'm on a break right now, like I'm kind of on a fast from ayahuasca and other medicines because I'm,
Mm.
you know, focused on this music. You know, when I'm
Yeah,
like doing the medicine work, you know, I'm like in it. You know, you're
yeah,
on the diet and you're in the frequency, you're in the energy. There's no alcohol. You change your,
yeah,
you know, you change what you're eating, you change your lifestyle and what you're exposed to because you're gonna
yeah.
have a more beautiful experience the deeper you can,
Absolutely.
you know, go in yourself and the more sober, clear minded you could be. So I think,
Mm.
you know, those are just basic rules, you know, for
Yeah,
these plants. But yeah, my own personal experience has been wonderful. And I know not
beautiful.
everybody has had that, but I feel grateful that I've had that. And I'm just grateful now that there's been a couple songs that have also been inspired by the medicine.
Yeah.
And I think I'm going to do a music album. Actually, I would like to do a
Mm.
little EP, maybe where I do a couple
Beautiful.
covers, you know, of a couple songs in Spanish or Portuguese or, you know, some of these songs that I've
Beautiful.
learned over the last.
Yeah, some
Yeah.
iqueros. I love it.
Yes. They'll be so beautiful. I can't wait. It's just about finding the right person to, you know, work with,
Mm.
to, you know, do the
Yeah,
project with. So it's on
yeah.
my list.
Beautiful. I'm, well, I'm
Yeah.
so glad, and I appreciate you bringing up all those points because it's, I think, important. And I'm so happy to hear that you're interviewing these artists. It made me smile when I saw your last interview. So it's perfect. And thank you for sharing, always being so open and honest and sharing your soul and your truth. That authenticity shines through. So. And then share for everyone
Mm-hmm.
where they can get your album. We're going to post your events below, your tour, but just share it out loud too,
Oh,
like your
awesome.
website and the best place you'd like them to stream
Thank
from
you.
and purchase your album. Because we need people to purchase music.
Yeah. That's true. Not a lot of people do that anymore.
Yeah.
You know, iTunes is the only place where you can really purchase. I think you can still
Okay.
support artists on Bandcamp, but I haven't really used it.
Yeah.
You know, you can listen to, you know, it's available everywhere. You can get it on. Oh, I think Amazon you can purchase.
Mm.
I boycott Amazon, so I don't do that. My music's there though. I yeah, iTunes, Spotify, of course, and then on Spotify, the thing that you can do is when you like, you know, also download because when you download, it shifts the algorithm a little bit and it'll
Mm.
expose you to more artists. You know, when you download a project or an album or a single, it kind of brings more artists like that your way. So it'll actually put me and my music on the
Mm.
algorithm more if you download the
Okay.
album. And yeah, it's all there. And then my IG is Shylah Ray, website Shylah Ray Sunshine. All the tour dates are there. All the ticket links are there. My link tree as well.
Mm.
So it shouldn't be too hard to find me.
Yeah. Beautiful. Thank you for orating. It's always helpful to send it out in the ethers that way. Shylah, thank you for being here today, and we'll have you back again soon.
Thank you so much.
Once again, I want to thank you all for tuning in and Shylah for being here. We are going to exit out with two of her songs, Girl and Love Is, from this album, Lessons in Love. Please support the arts, support her shows, buy her music, share this segment, and spread the word. Until next time, this is Suzanne signing out with a full heart, a soft gaze, a deep bow, and a namaste. Be simply.
There is a power within this earth. I heard, I feel it. I feel
You
it.
are beautiful. Why you tripping, girl? Your eyes on the soul open window. Life is all about loving where you are beautiful. Why you tripping, girl? Your eyes are the soul open window. Life is all about loving where you are beautiful. Why you tripping, girl? Your eyes are the soul open window. Life is all about loving where you are beautiful. Why you tripping, girl? Your eyes are the soul open window. Life is all about loving where you are beautiful. Why you tripping, girl? Your eyes are the soul open window. Life is all about loving where you are beautiful. You are so beautiful, girl. Your eyes are the eyes are the window of your soul. Life is all about love. Life is all about you loving who you are. You beautiful. Your eyes are the soul open window. Life is all about loving where you are beautiful. Your eyes are the window. Your eyes are the soul open window. Life is all about love. Where you are beautiful. You tripping, girl. Your eyes are the soul open window. Life is all about you are so beautiful. Why you tripping, girl? Your eyes are the windows of your soul. Life is all about loving who you are, loving who you are. Beautiful, why you tripping, girl? Your eyes are the soul open window. Life is all about loving where you are. That love was just a verb, a simple word. Used to believe in loving conditionally. No, now I've learned that there are no limits to what I can give. I can receive the blessings that life has bestowed upon me. Love, we must make it. We must create it. Love, the universal force, the source of all things. Love, we must know it. We must show it. Love is what I am. Love is what I'm made of. It's what I am. Love is what I am. It's so beautiful. The more I learn, the less I know. But I know one thing for sure. We were born up to love. We were created making love. I believe this life is a blessing. It's a miracle that I'm here and I can say, we must make it. We must create it. Love, the universal force, the source of all things. Love, we must know it. We must show it. Love is what I am.